All right, let's get started. Welcome everybody. Sue's coming here. I think most of you know me, but we're making a recording, so maybe there'll be some people that don't know me. I am the founder of The Nature of Real Estate. 40 years in this crazy industry. Can't seem to leave it. There's just too much of it to love. Yes, there are some parts of it not to love, but there are definitely some parts to love. And today I have a very special guest for our fireside chat. Erin Field, who I will introduce thoroughly in a couple of minutes. I just want to kind of give you guys an idea why I'm doing this now. I had scheduled a work trip to the United States this week to go down and do some mentoring with my favorite mentor. And of course, that didn't seem like that was really a very good idea. So I had this week with a little bit of time in it. And I was like, let's get a fireside chat going of someone who has achieved a really incredible level of success, but it's not about massive numbers. Like I had Mike Majeski on here, I don't know what, a month or two ago. And Mike does massive numbers. He's one of the top solo agents with Remax. And Erin does big numbers, but what's equally as impressive about Erin is the balance that she has in her life with her family and with her sports and competition. And that's why I really was excited, because I know so many people in real estate want to find that elusive balance. So I've invited Erin to go deep with us. Before we get started with her, I'll give a quick introduction to who the heck is Erin Field, because some of you guys haven't met her. So Erin started in real estate in her teens, as a receptionist at a real estate office, which is pretty entertaining, and went on to be a team member for one of the top teams in Ottawa. And did that for a number of years before she went off on her own. When she went off on her own in 2015, she joined The Nature of Real Estate, coached with one of my underlings for a bit. And then I started to see the potential, so I grabbed her and put her on my roster. And we've been working together on and off for about 10 years, I guess, 8 years. And then about a year ago, we started up the Mastermind, which is a group mastermind that we talk about negotiation principles. And I think that's had a big impact on Erin. So those are all the things that we're going to talk about with her. She's in Ottawa. She's with Remax Hallmark. She's numbers. She does about $500,000 at the peak. She had a little bit of a drop in her production post COVID, but she also had some really complicated personal things going on, which we'll get into a little bit. And now her production is back up. She's almost done the $250,000 mark by the end of March. And she doesn't do this with massive transactions. She's actually probably, I don't know how many deals she's done, but I suspect she's done 12 or 14 deals this year. So we'll let her speak in a minute. But here's the cool part. She's got 2 teenage daughters who have been as challenging as any teenage daughters ever are. And she's done an amazing job with them by being pleasant. And she also, when I met Erin, she was a national level bodybuilder. And she decided to make a transition from bodybuilding to paddling. And she is now on the cusp of being an international level paddler, and off to training camp to make Team Canada next week. So welcome, please, everybody, Erin Field. Like, yeah, this woman rocks. So thanks all for being here. We're not just going to talk about how great Erin is, although she's great. What I want to share is how she got here and how she stays here. Because this is really an incredible art form in real estate. So, Erin, it's just about coming over to you, man. I'm going to start with the most ridiculous question, because this is what they do on podcasts. And it's kind of meant to break the ice and make you feel comfortable. What's your favorite dessert?
Ooh, sticky toffee pudding with ice cream.
With ice cream and vanilla ice cream?
Yes, and a glass of red wine.
Oh, okay. So you guys know she's human now. This is really good. Athletes want to do these really cool things. Um, I invited you to join us today, Erin, not to talk about how great you are, because you're great, but there are lots of people are great, but really to be able to share with other people some of the challenges that you've had and ways that you've overcome them and continue to overcome them. And so, the big thing I see with you, knowing you for a long time, is balance. Do you feel like you have balance in your life with all of these competing demands?
Yep. I found myself with spare time. I just started to learn how to play the harmonica.
A little bit of spare time in all of that crazy schedule. I love that. And there's been times where you haven't been balanced, right? And so talk to me about your relationship with this balance idea.
Well, I think we've all heard of it, that there's no balance in real estate because you're at the mercy of your clients. I just decided that I'm not anymore. And we together, Susan and I designed A business that I'm able to be at home more. I'm home when my kids get home from school. I go to practices. I can go to worlds. And I still do an awesome business and excellent outcomes from my clients.
Okay, so she introduced a couple of really, really cool things there. So I'm gonna ad-libbing this, by the way, you guys. This isn't rehearsed. You talked about being home for the kids when they come from school, and then you talked about practice. So to give everybody context, give us 5 sentences to draw a picture of your paddling career and where it's at.
I paddle internationally with my club crew. We won bronze or actually just past September in Italy. And my team is a feeder team to Team Canada. I am coached by one of the top coaches now in the world. She's been appointed the International Dragon Boat Federation's chairman of the women's committee. I'm very blessed to have these really awesome women mentors in my life. And having this excellent guidance to help me through this journey is not easy. It's physically challenging. I'm sore, I'm tired. I have to stretch. I have to eat well, and I need to be rested. But I need that all the time.
All the time, right? Because this is so the balance is how do you now then go up and be really enthusiastic and present with your clients and then turn around and deal with a teenage daughter problem of anyone who's had teenage daughters knows that they're never ending. So that's beautiful. And then just again, briefly, the camp you're going to at the end of this month. This is cool. I don't know much about it, which is why I'm asking.
I've been invited to the spring, it's phase 2 of this selection process with Team Canada for Dragon Boat. So I have an invitation. I made it through phase 1. I leave next week, and it's a week. There's about 100 of us vying for a spot, one of 24 spots.
All right, so she's got a 1 in 4 chance of making Team Canada at Erin's not 27 doing this, right? This is pretty spectacular. So, okay, thanks for sharing that. So when paddling is a massive part of her life, I guess, is what I'm trying to get in here in many dimensions. And then you mentioned the kids being home for the kids, and present. And, don't share more about your kid challenges than you're comfortable with, because this is recorded and is going to be available on the internet. But give us a little bit of a picture of what it's been like raising these two, very smart, challenging little munchkins of yours that are so awesome.
And I mean, they have a lot going on in their lives. They need my full attention. They really need to be present. Um, I can sense now if they need me more. I can actually sense it. And it's challenging, but the relationships that we have built have been stronger. I think it was 2005. At the time, I think she was 4, was chasing me down the road saying, "Mom, please don't go," when I was doing like an open house for someone an hour and a half away.
Yeah. So I think there's a whole bunch of people in the audience with us today or who listen to the recording who are dealing with this child reality. And it's not enough to just be with your kid. We know that. Like you actually have to be present with your kid. I was a single mom and raised a daughter through real estate. And that's why I think I understand how challenging it is for Erin and how important it is, because what the heck's the purpose of being successful in business if your life's falling apart. So thanks for sharing that. That's great. Okay. Your production. So you topped $500,000 a couple of years during COVID, and then you had a drop of almost 50%, which was significant, but still enough that the bills were all being paid. And you had some personal challenges in that time. So personal challenges hitting at the same time as we had a massive market adjustment, as we all know, when COVID came to an end. And you were good. You made enough money that you didn't have to dig into your savings or anything. But now you've shifted back and you're on track to beat that 500 this year. You're already I think you're scratching 250, and we're not at the end of March yet. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to blow that number. Share with people what you think was the essence of being able to recover from that post-COVID period of time. And take your time on this. I didn't give her these question prompts, you guys. You got to give her a second to think about it.
And maybe we can talk about how that concept you taught me going to the balcony is helpful in cases like this. Um,
So yeah, going to the balcony, guys, well, we give Erin a second to think about it. Going to the balcony is a term that they use in corporate negotiations when you need time to catch up. Things are getting complicated and you're trying to build strategy on the fly. And it's not considered a weakness to go to the balcony. It'd be lovely to bring that into real estate, but there'd be a lot of agents who are untrained in negotiation who would think we were weird. So we don't have it as a formal practice, but definitely this idea of buying time to think. And Erin just did a beautiful job of it. So what do you think is the depth of essence of your recovery, Erin?
well, actually, this is a metaphor that just came up while you were speaking earlier, but that mastermind group that we have been doing, and I mean, that's practice. I'm practicing the negotiation concepts 3 times a month with my peers, real life scenarios. And it's no different than me showing up for practice with my team. You got to practice. I just learned really how to paddle. It's not it's super complicated. I can't think about anything except paddling when I'm paddling. Okay. It's like
Mhm.
a meditation almost. So, you
I
know,
I love the metaphor. I was going to ask you later about a sports metaphor, but let's stay with that for a second. So you mentioned the practice, right? And that was the mastermind group when we built it was really designed for that. I didn't want it to be sort of a lead generation accountability group because I that's not what I do. I'm a negotiation trainer. And this group has been incredibly powerful for everyone in it. We have a number of the members here. But what we do in this group is we take real life scenarios and then we analyze them in terms of the negotiation concepts and practice the language. And so this is a good time to bring up, well, that sounds like that would just be doing the offer. Like when we talk about negotiations, it's not just doing the offer. Can you just share with someone what you mean by what we learned in that group that's been helpful for you to be able to get focused and get back on track?
because I can spot the concepts of the negotiation in the negotiation while it's happening, and I understand it. So I can spot it and I know how to react to it or respond to it without reacting to it.
Ah. Respond, don't react. And you just had a little shift in energy, like that you like this stuff.
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite.
Go down that hole for a bit. I love it. Look at that. Look at that energy. I love it. Go.
You know what? Coming out of, having a business where the business is incoming, that's great. But having the persistence to show up and practice, I have enjoyed, my clients are enjoying amazing outcomes. I find just as much joy in their outcome. Like, you can tell me that that's a highest sale of any other house ever of all time, and there's no way prices have gone up, but yet I got my clients more money. You learn what you can, and you can't argue a stand, right?
You can't argue a stand. And so this idea of getting better results, this is a bone of contention in the industry. I talk to some really high-hitting agents who don't work with me, and they say, no, good agents don't get higher prices. They just do more deals. And I'm like, that's not true. Great agents can, not all, not, there's high-producing agents who don't get more money, but there are agents who get more money. So if we talk about getting better outcomes for your clients, so on the selling end, that's pretty easy to measure. How do we measure that, or how do you find you measure that on the buyer's end?
Um, I mean, really having teenage girls and wanting to be here with, my mom was sick also, she had surgery, she had lung cancer last year and she's fine now. But you're going through all this stuff, your focus is elsewhere. But when I'm at work, I'm present and I'm able to have faster outcomes, like more, not faster, quality. I'm able to do the front load of the work for buyers, for example, right? And then by the time that they're ready to look at houses, we're looking at like one, three, even during COVID. There was only 2 times during the entire COVID period where one of my buyers did not successfully purchase during a multiple offer scenario.
I love that. Those were crazy days. Eh? Let's not go back there. That's not what we got right now. But I hear you. And so what I'm hearing is you don't put them in houses necessarily faster because you're still working on their timelines, but you put them into houses more efficiently.
Yes.
That what I'm hearing? All right.
Yeah, for sure.
And this effect, so if you consistently get better results for your sellers, because you have the wherewithal to negotiate well, build a good strategy, execute. You consistently get better results for your buyers because you're more efficient in the process for them. And therefore, they're clearer and make better decisions. How does this help you build your business? I mean, this is a really rhetorical question, obviously. But, talk to me because that's, I think, the magic that's happening with you right now. So talk a little bit about what that feels like from inside, from your perspective.
The professional trust that I've built with my clients and even their families, right, who come to final walkthroughs or who accompany buyers on a showing, or right, a mom who's staying with her daughter who's going through separation or something, there's a house to sell. The being able to work with family members, I've had siblings. Now I've done, I think I'm up to 7 transactions with one family. I've moved one gentleman in and out of the city 7 times with the Navy. But the expansion, and then these are families that are upsizing. I had one ask me to help him propose to his fiancee during their final walkthrough, and a client just told me they're expecting twins while we're at their final walkthrough. It's a joy to be there in their lives, you know, and still, Sue's, care, but not too much. Like I get it now.
Oh man, I can remember the first time we ever brought that up in a coaching conversation. So guys, what she's talking about is care, but not too much, right?
Mhm.
Care, but like not a lot. And that's a really hard thing to coach people on because people who are good people who are in real estate, the people who are attracted to the nature of real estate, so the people I get to interact with, are usually in real estate because they really want to do a great job for the person because they care so much. They really want this person to get a great house and not have any complications and not be in over their head with repairs or costs or mortgages, and they really do care. And then at some point I have to tell them you got to care less. Not care less as in the colloquial, I care, I couldn't care less. Like not that. It's caring a little bit less to be able to do a good job. And every time I introduce that to a client, they fight me on it. And Erin was probably the feistiest. No, man, my big value is that I care. And I'm like, yes, it is. And caring too much puts you in this emotional boat that makes it very difficult to help them. And particularly now when we've got emotions that are really, really high points. So yeah, so thanks for pointing that out. Anyone who's been working with the nature of real estate has heard this before. What I liked that Erin said is, I finally got it. If we go back to Mike's fireside call, it was meaningful conversation. She says, I finally got it. It took me 3 years. I'm hearing all of this. How do I help people grab this faster and apply it more? Um, can you think of an example where caring a little bit less really worked out well for your client?
I use another like boat metaphor.
Okay, boat metaphors are cool.
I know, because it's really your clients are out in a boat and the boat's doing this and the waves are coming, and like, they forgot their PFDs, like they don't want you to be in the boat, right? You can't save them
Right.
from the boat. You need to be on the dock. You have to be the one to throw the life vest, right? How can I help you? What do you need? Right?
Beautiful. Beautiful. And so yeah, so that's a hard lesson to learn. I'm sure it'll come back to get us all when we're there. Okay, let's talk. Now we're jumping all over the place. So I just want to make sure that we hit on some really cool things. Let's go into negotiation skills. So people think it's haggling over price. I mean, you guys have probably seen, I've redone the website. I'm actually starting a community online. I'm talking about some strategic partnerships. I'm back, and I'm back, but very focused on negotiation skills because it's just so goddamn important, and it's missed. And I think, I'm trying to figure out why it's missed. And I think the reason it's missed is people think that it's haggling over price in an offer. And it's so much more than that. And so, you know, how do you feel like your negotiation skills have contributed to both your business, but also your life balance, which is really your superpower, is this magic of being able to do it all? How have negotiation skills helped?
Not using as much cognitive space to do a deal, right? So spotting in the moment while you're in this negotiation with the other side, what it is that they're after, but spotting like the behavior, and when they're arguing comparables, it's a competitive tactic and there's a reason for it, right? Short timeline. Maybe they're trying to get an offer in for their client before anybody else can on my listing, right? But we have a 24-hour irrevocable, right? How do you deal with that? and keep him in and keep him engaged. Because the only job is to get another offer at this point, right?
Okay, I love that. And I bet there's a lot of people in the audience going, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. Because you're also active realtors, and it is very nuanced now, right? This idea of actually getting deals together that are beneficial for all parties is tricky. But what I heard in that it was when you codified it, when you're able to say that's a competitive tactic, here's a response. Oh, that's a this and this and that. Oh, that's a stand. I need to do this. It freed you up from spending energy, emotional, cognitive energy, because you could just and therefore have several negotiations going on simultaneously. Is that kind of what I'm hearing here, Erin?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you feel like I'm guiding Erin, I did ask for permission for this. So Erin was diagnosed with ADHD. And I actually think an awful lot of really, really successful realtors have ADHD. So I'm pretty good at dealing with it. I think it's like a superpower. But I also know that they need a little bit more guidance because the thought's going here and then the thought's going there. So if you feel like, oh, Susan's really guiding Erin, yeah, I am. That's what we do. But only because I want to pull out the very best of what she has to share with you guys. And we've probably got some people who are listening to us who have focus issues or attention issues, or might even be officially diagnosed with an attention disorder. How do you deal with that in your business?
Going to the balcony thing. So I used to jump on a phone call, phone rang, jump on it, jump on it, jump on it. Sometimes I need a minute because maybe I know what that call's about, but with ADHD, I need sometimes like a switching thing to happen, right? If I'm engaged with my daughters, I can't effectively take a phone call, or I can't effectively engage with my family if, I'm still thinking about the building inspection, price reduction, you know?
I love it. So that, and I think anybody has done any work with their attention disorder knows exactly what Erin's talking about. And I think that we're all becoming less focused, even without having a diagnosis of something that's happening in our physical being, because of social media, because of news cycles, because of all that. So I think we can all learn from the research that's been done in ADHD to help us. So, right, the switching, being very cognizant of I'm doing this now and I'm not going to try and multitask. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, there's no imagine you're a buyer and your agent walks up and they're late. They're falling out of their car. They got papers flying everywhere. Like, what if that realtor spends 5 minutes around the corner taking a breath? Take a breath, right?
There
And then
you have it, guys. Take a breath. That's the takeaway from today. Take a breath, regardless of where you are. I love that. One of the other things that you've done recently, not really with much of my help, which is always cool. I love when my clients go off and do stuff and I learn from them. But I do believe it was related to the topic we're just talking about now, is you came up with a communication plan. And this is relatively new. And it sort of happened at the same time as Erin has now, doubled her business again. So yeah, so what do you want to share about that?
that there's also this thought that we're always reachable, right? You can look at all my reviews online, they all say I'm reachable, but I put boundaries around, like you have some layers of control that you have when your conditions are due. I mean, you can counter an offer to say like 11 o'clock's ridiculous, 4 p.m. on a Friday might be lovely, or I need Suze to redirect me again. Another way. This happens to me. So
Yeah, and I'm taking notes like I do in a coaching call, right? And we've got the reviews and you're reachable and you know it is reachable. But you actually have an official communication plan. Let's go there and then I haven't lost what you've said.
okay, I do. And so here in Ontario, we have Tressa, right? So as part of Tressa, we have to include in our contract, so listing agreement as well as buyer contracts, what our services are. What a great way to implement a communication plan with your clients, right? If you have your house for sale for me, you can count on me being in touch with you every Tuesday and every Thursday or Friday. We'll have a time set aside just for you. Okay. Something happens, I'm going to be in touch, and here's a system with feedback. Okay. And if there's something to discuss that requires thought and strategizing and research, we're going to have that call during business hours so that I can be prepared for the phone call.
All right. So, and I think it's going to probably go deeper than that. So what Erin's sharing with us is that her clients have an expectation around communication that's been really well managed. And that's a really important thing because her clients are still writing reviews that say she's very reachable, even though she's less reachable. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there that are thinking, oh, but if I become less reachable, my clients are going to be disappointed. And that's not what we found in Erin's case. In fact, almost the opposite. Did that surprise you, Erin?
Yes, I've been afraid to take a real vacation for, a long time, you know. Um, I want to be able to focus on top world-class coaching when I'm down there. I already have someone to cover for me. You know, the business is still going to come, and people that really value you will wait. I was in Italy racing, and I had a gentleman who I'd done business with for wait, and he was interviewing other agents. I
And
got
they
the job.
Yeah. And that's a really, for you guys that are listening, think about that because I hear it so much that I can't hand my business over to someone else easily. I want to stay in control, or I need to be there for the second that my client needs me, and I want to be 100% responsive 24/7. And if I don't do that, I'm going to lose business. It's a myth. If you're losing the business because you won't take their call 24/7, there's another reason that you're losing their business. And that's that idea that being successful in real estate, there is no shortcut. It's about being excellent at what you do. There's no shortcut. And there's a lot of people promising you shortcuts right now. And so this isn't even in my rough notes from this morning, but Erin, you worked your ass off to get here, through a lot of really, really challenging times. What were some of the techniques or tools that you used to be able to keep doing this over and over, consistently gaining new skills, new determination? What can you share with us on that front? That's a deep question without any preamble, but there you go.
Yeah, and maybe this isn't the direction, but I'm thinking it's more momentum than it is and practice, like momentum than it is motivation. Like nobody decided they were going to go door knocking after spending an hour on the couch watching Netflix. You
Mm.
have to have the discipline to show up and do the things you don't want to do because they help. That's what grows your business. It's not hard to stay in touch with your clients. I can sit in my backyard with my headset, my feet up, and just like talk to my clients. And next thing I know, their aunt's calling me.
Oh, so I'm really glad it went there. So let's leave the momentum versus motivation is important. So I've circled it. We're going to come back. But you guys all got a picture of Erin sitting in her backyard with her headphones on calling her clients. And you've all heard me say, the only thing you need to do to be highly successful in real estate is have meaningful conversations with people about real estate. And were there times in your career that you didn't do that, Erin, and what happened? And now that you do it consistently, tell us a little bit about how it all feels.
The difference in being able to high grade my business. So I can choose, who's a good match for me and who might not be, right? Like if a buyer wants to spend 5 nights a week with me or, 8 hours every Saturday and all of Sunday every weekend, I'm not the right realtor for them, but sometimes it's just a matter of that's what they expect, but they don't realize there also isn't that many houses to look at that meet their needs for sure. Right. So maybe we
You've
need
done
to,
your work. You're not showing them houses all over the county, right? Okay, so you guys that are new with me, this word high grade, I just have to clarify it because I use it and it's like high grade your clients. This is not high grading people. They can be great people. What we're really doing is qualifying our clients, but to have a really successful life. So this is, yes, big numbers, but equally as important as the other things that are important to you, family, friends, health, well-being, adventure, whatever those things are. This is an absolute prerequisite that you're able to choose which clients you work with. And when you can do that, you get the freedom to have the life. And so high grade isn't high grading good people. It's high grading good clients. And this has been a huge piece of work. Actually, you told me a story the other day of someone who was a really good person, but you chose not to take them. This was that military. Remember, just the other day. Do you want to
yeah.
how you made the decision to not take that client and what you think that did for your ultimate success for this year?
I had an incoming referral and an officer with the Navy and his wife's a lieutenant colonel. I mean, they have a big budget. Incoming referral, military, they're for sure gonna buy. Okay, you know what his email read? I want your, and it in bold was the word exclusive. I need your exclusive availability for the 7 days they're here. And I said no. I said I can't provide you that.
And
But
how'd it feel?
oh my gosh, you know, May with a military buyer, I can't promise them I'm not gonna have other listings or it's gonna be my spring training, my local camp, you know.
Or your teenager gets into trouble.
You know what I did, Suze? I'm taking my youngest daughter who plays competitive ringette to a tournament in Montreal in May. I have never left the city in May ever. And I'm doing it this year.
Yeah, you are. And she deserves it. She deserves you. Yeah. So like mother, like daughter, right? These athletic business people. So beautiful. So yeah, so this art of being able to qualify your clients is a really important piece of being able to build ultimate success in my books. And you guys might start to notice this as you meet more and more of my clients, that balance is a really important thing to me. Even Mike, one of his key things is that he's been able to stay really deeply connected with his family and keep that as a priority. And that's a theme of mine. It's very important to me and hence my clients. But so high grading, saying no to clients. Well, what if you don't have any clients, right? And so to be as busy as you are without being busy, like frantic, to talk to me about that idea that, right, more leads, more prospects, and what kind of freedom that gives you to have that bigger pool to choose from.
I mean, the bigger pool to choose from means that I'm well rested. And when I'm well rested, I'm able to be more creative in my negotiations. But if I'm finding myself not busy, I mean, there's a period, I think, was it 2023 to 2024? That period was like super quiet. There's almost no trades happening. I mean, I was door knocking, socializing, meeting people, going to events.
Right. And then when the market came back, boom, right? There's all that beautiful business. And I know from coaching for 20 years, almost 20 years now, one of the hardest things for people is to consistently do that. What other companies call lead gen, which sounds really terrible, which I call having conversations with people about real estate. Um, I bet there was a time where it all of a sudden started to get easier for you. Any thoughts on how to help other people build that habit so that it's just part of their daily routine?
Have to do it. But also, if you do it really, I don't want to say without an agenda, but I mean, what if a house comes up for sale in your neighborhood? It's really easy to talk to your neighbor about, hey, did you see that new listing that come up? Right? I don't know if, I mean, we've met at the mailbox. If you're ever curious, I just live over here. If you want to know, I, Suze knows this. I have people that knock on my door to find out what someone's house sold for in my neighborhood.
I think I wrote a web page about that, blog post about that a few years ago, quite a few years ago now. And it was like, if you don't door knock, maybe they'll knock your door. One of Erin's neighbors actually knocked on her door to get real estate information because Erin hadn't been able to get around and do her door knocking, which was pretty funny.
Like they really want it, and you're not bothering them, right?
Right. To get this out of your head that you're not bothering them. And there's an awful lot of new trainers, you guys, who are ridiculing door knocking and calling your past contacts. And I get it. It's if you haven't done it, which a lot of them haven't, it seems like it's really terrible and annoying and unprofessional and terrible. But that actually just isn't true. It's all we're doing is connecting with the people in our neighborhood or the people in the neighborhoods where we trade. They're interested in real estate. We're not trying to push them to sell or list or do anything else. And Erin brought up two things in that I think are worth grabbing. One was just do it. Don't underestimate the value of Nike's little slogan there. I just bet they spent $1 million coming up with that. But there is some truth in it, even for me in my life. And I bet, Erin, there's times you don't want to get up and go paddling or go to the gym.
Absolutely. Even if I'm feeling actually this, and this just happened this week, I think was the first time I felt like I had so much to do for the workday that I didn't have time to go to the gym. And and I often would skip it. Now I'm like, it's not more important than me. And my day is going to be, I'm going to be so much more effective and so much more enjoyable to work with if I've worked out. Right. I mean, I perform better in all areas if I'm active. This I've learned.
This would be part of the ADHD.
Yeah.
And of course, and so whatever it is each of us needs to show up to be our very best for our clients is what our clients deserve. There's no shame in who we are as long as we're being the best us, right? And the pieces of us that are a little bit more challenging, own them.
It will
Because
get done, right? Like, and the work will get done. I'm not saying I'm not doing the work.
yeah.
It gets
So
done.
so yeah, just do it is a thing that you can fall back on. But I like the other thing is Erin gave us a little script there, right? She was actually talking, she was giving us a little imaginary script. Because, it's not by mistake that my company is called The Nature of Real Estate, because it's about having natural interactions with people, right? And now we have to plan these. They have to be deliberate, because if we're so bad at communication that we end up just talking about ourselves if we're not deliberate about it. So they're natural in a way in that they're authentic and they're meaningful. But they're a little bit deliberate just to keep us from like being selfish, which is kind of what we have all learned as a default. So that was a beautiful example of a very natural conversation that you might have with a neighbor. So magnificent. Awesome. I'm just going to cut you on a couple more things and then we're going to open up for Q&A. And please, you guys do start thinking about your Q&A, because this is an amazing opportunity to really you can tell, right? She's an open book on this. We've got the reachable thing. We got the balance. Oh, this is interesting. So I grabbed these things this morning from one of our conversations.
Mhm.
There's two things that you often reference back to. One is that we're in sales, and I think that's a really important thing to own, and a lot of people don't like to own that. And the other thing is I love real estate. It brings me a great deal of joy, and those things are connected. Let's rip on that a little bit.
It's a lot easier to get out of bed at 4:45 a.m. on Monday morning because I have a 6 a.m. paddle, like a training session, because I know that the work, I get to be in the boat. Okay, you can make the team and not be on the roster. Like, you could be one of the 4 people not racing. I can go all the way to Germany and not race. Right? You want to be in the boat, right? And you get better.
Oh, I love the metaphor. So I want to be in the boat. It's sports metaphors are a riot, and so how did you come to just, as long as we're playing with boats, because everybody knows I'm a boat person. How was it that you came to go from bodybuilding to paddling? That's a big transition.
It's the same skill set, right? It's the mind, it's the athletic mind, it's the persistence, and it's not any different than being a salesperson. I mean, make no mistake, right? And that it's okay to have these, I mean, label. I had a hard time accepting I was like, just to call myself an athlete. Whoa, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm amateur. I had an invitation to the amateur Arnold's. Like, that's super cool. I paddled in it. I raced in Italy, and I've raced in Florida. I might race in Germany. I found this community that I love, and the people that I work with are often from the community that I love, right? It's people I've worked with before, they're friends, family members. I've done a lot of business through my dragon boat community, and not necessarily intentionally. I might just be talking about how excited I am for an outcome I got for somebody.
I love it. So I'm just gonna wrap this up just to keep it so everybody kind of gets the parallel here. So paddling, I got to get in the boat. I don't necessarily want to get the boat, but I get in the boat and I get to be engaged with all of these people, and I get to actually paddle and be on the water and then go to these adventures and go to these events, and maybe I get to race, but the racing isn't the thing. And then the parallel is when I do my prospecting and I have conversations with people, I meet all sorts of interesting people. I get opportunities to go to their homes, integrate with them and their families, and often have an opportunity to help them trade real estate, which is a real high for me. Is that kind of what we're drawing out there? And you can see she loves it. And that idea of label, real estate agents are not labeled well. I get it. I'm trying to change that, but it's going to take monumental effort for a long period of time. What you need to do is be okay with the label and own it and step up and say, I'm proud.
I'm a proud salesperson. I'm not a consultant. I'm not an advisor. Nobody's ever paid me for not selling them a house. Not yet, right? But I mean, it's my job to entice an offer for my seller, right? It's my job to get the seller to look at my buyer's offer with a shorter irrevocable in a collaborative way.
I love it. So we are in sales, you guys, and I think it's an important thing to learn. I also, some people think that sales is a dirty word. Sales at, you know, at a sort of a singular dimension can be pretty shitty, can be pretty rotten. But complex sales, and I call it the derivative of sales, because the derivative of sales say, I'm going to treat this person so incredibly well and do such an exceptional job for them that they can't help but send me their friends and family. And so that derivative level of sales is actually incredibly ethical and incredibly successful. And I invite people to really own that if you've got this negativity around sales, sort of stick with it. So there's a lot going on with Erin, as you guys can tell. It hasn't always been easy, as you can see through the COVID correction. Erin was putting a new relationship together after what was a challenging divorce. She had teenage girls that were going through a lot of stuff, as most of our teenage girls do. That's important and complex and meaningful. Her mom was in the hospital with breast cancer, and she was trying to run her world with her ADHD and getting meds balanced and getting exercise routines figuring out and making enough money to support her family. And she's done it. And she's done an amazing job, and I'm just so proud of her. So thank you, Erin, so much for sharing all of that. And way to go to get out the other end, girl. Been a shit show. It's been so good.
I've
Um,
leveled up.
yeah, so if you guys can put your hands up in the reaction tab, and I'll try to get you up on the screen so we can see you. For any questions that you might have about Erin. And there's no questions that are off the table here. Erin's an open book. If there's something's a little too personal, she'll just say that's a little too personal. And so please don't be shy. But please take this opportunity. I didn't preload anybody with questions, as a lot of webinars do. So that means I really need you guys to step up. And while you guys are getting the courage to step up, what are we going to talk about, girl? Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys. Oh, look at some of my favorite people. We're going to start with Tamara. Good to see you, Tamara. You go
Hi,
ahead.
it's good to see you too. Thanks, Erin, for opening up. Do you have a lead generation system that you like to use?
Lead generation system. I am the lead generation system.
I like that answer.
There's not a minute I'm not looking for something, but I don't call it lead generation. I'm building relationships.
Yeah. Great. So are you finding that most of your business is coming from your past clients, or?
Almost 100% is repeat and referral business from clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And then do you have a client database management system that you like? Have you got a favorite CRM?
I do. I like iExact, but I liked it, but I think it's terrible. The best one was Agent Office like 20 years ago, and they don't have it anymore. So it's hard. I now use spreadsheets to manage like the people that are top.
Yeah. Just a physical spreadsheet.
Active stuff for active business spreadsheets for maintaining and staying in touch.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thanks, Tamara. So that's a really interesting question, you guys. You think about it, right? And so many people trying to sell you so many fancy programs, whether it's a program to, get your Instagram posts up in time, or whether it's a program to manage when you should follow up with people and call back, or your Salesforce, or there's a million CRMs. And I'm not saying they're bad, but my experience with 40 years in real estate is they distract the realtor personality. We are a certain personality that we're good realtors, and it distracts us from actually doing the work. You can manage up to 40 transactions a year with no CRM. I'm not saying everyone should give up their CRM. That's not what I'm saying. But understand that it's not an essential thing up to 40 transactions a year. You can do it in a spreadsheet, you can do it in a binder, you can do it in a very simple program. And if you're the type of personality who gets distracted by technology, it's a good option, or there are better options than a complex CRM. So thanks, Tamara. That was awesome question. All right, let's go with Heidi.
There we go. Erin, fascinating. Thank you. What does your typical day look like? Are you very structured? Like I'm just talking to somebody right now and they said they talk about time blocking and things like that.
Yeah. I actually have, slowly over time, I've built the concept of like a winter schedule and a summer schedule for myself. And then I have a kid schedule when the kids are with me and a kid schedule when the kids aren't with me. And I've put time blocks in those different calendars to try and manage that. The goal is so I can hopefully look and go, okay, like that's an opening, that's when I want to take an appointment. I don't necessarily put in the calendar, I have it visual. Yeah. Oh, so and then okay, my ADHD. So I actually have to manage myself first in the morning. So to do just a 10-minute like a stretch to warm up my body and brain, and I have to eat and then hopefully work out, get ready for the day and get started. And then I try and take a midday break for a walk or something. Really every 90 minutes to get up and just take a walk. Okay, just take a minute and then get back to work so I can focus on what I have in hand and then try and figure out. But I set a goal for myself. Like, what am I trying to achieve today? Well, I'm looking for quality business, right? What's my mandate? I have to get an offer on this listing.
Okay, I think that's really, I think that I'm just gonna bring in, just to bring it all around, and Heidi, you can ask a follow-up question if you like. You know, what's the structure, what's the time blocking? So Erin does use time blocking, but she doesn't use it in a really traditional way. So she has an intention for her day. And that's where these different calendars come from, is and this intention is to stay true to the business that actually results in revenue versus the things that don't. Then once she has that intention, then she does time block. And it's been hard, I would say, Erin, to learn to time block and to stick with it. But ultimately learning how important the exercise, good eating, and self-care was probably what tipped it for you. Does that grab what you're trying to say there, Erin?
Yep, because I could do research and spend hours. I could spend 10 hours like perfecting my listing presentation. And you know what Suze would say? You don't need a listing presentation.
I think we got you down to 45 minutes on that, don't we? That 10 hours down to about 45 minutes prep for a listing presentation.
Yes. Yes.
Heidi, a follow-up question to that, or anything else with Erin?
No, that's all for now. Thank you.
Okay, well,
I
thanks.
like the idea of the intention for the day.
I think it's really helpful. I mean, I learn so much from my clients too, you guys, just so you all know, without a doubt. Lisa, so good to see you.
Hello. I was just wondering, I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but how long have you actually been selling real estate? And how long did it take to like get your business up and running? Like how long did it take you to become successful? How many years?
Yeah. I, I remember I have a memory of my bodybuilding coach saying, don't worry about what other people's timelines are because they're different than you. Right? Different influences, or right? Her metabolism's different. She has a different amount of muscle, different body style. Right. So for me, um, the collaboration, right, is the most important thing.
So let's go back. Erin started in 2002 with one of the top teams in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Buyer's agent. You did talk to us a little bit about volume that you did right out of the blocks coming from the receptionist side.
So I got my real estate license in 2002, and I was selling as a buyer agent for, I don't know, a few years, and the splits were like brutal. It was like 34%. Okay, like brutal. But I was having the best training. But I was never making more than 40 or 45,000 gross. I left.
Yeah, that was 2002. It was a long time ago, you guys.
Yeah.
Like it was like more like it was double that now, but still it was pretty meager.
Yeah. And then I left my buyer agent position in, I think it was 2016. It was the fall of 2016. I believe I tripled my production in the first year and then doubled it the year after with coaching from Suze.
Yeah, you started off with, she took the negotiation course. I put her with one of my coaches, a really wonderful woman, Susan Delane, doesn't coach anymore, but she was great. And yeah, I think you and Susan really got you guys got up to 6 digits.
Yep.
I liked you. I liked your gumption, so I grabbed you, and then we got up to double 6 digits within a couple of years
Yeah.
of going solo agent. But she had the background, Lisa, of having been a buyer's agent for a long time. But it's a
And also
good question because I've seen people, I mean, there's a myth in real estate that it's going to take you 7 years to build a successful business through repeat and referral. And I call bullshit on that. Right? I think if you're really good and you're driven, you can build it much quicker. Does that help a bit, Lisa?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Any
I know
other-
I'm really bad at the whole comparison thing, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm not gaining momentum as fast as I want to, and it's frustrating. But I mean, I'm only been back in real estate for 4 years, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I really beckon everybody not to use how many years you've been at something as a reason. I mean, Lisa, I know Lisa, and Lisa's had her challenges as well, as Erin having her challenges, and that's why it's different. Like if you get in the boat, one person trying to build muscle fiber in their arms it's gonna happen at a different pace than another person trying to build muscle fiber. Like that's just the truth, right? But so what you're looking for is how do I just keep moving barriers out of the way, right? Just keep moving barriers out of the way. And you're doing a good job, Lisa. I'd say with the last year, you've gained a lot more traction under difficult situations. So congrats to you. You got this. Thank you. Chuck. Chuck is up next.
Hey, Erin.
Hey, Chuck.
Given your length of time working in real estate and the success level that you're at, for you personally, how do you rank that as far as the brand you work for and the brokerage you work for?
Hmm.
Do you have some thoughts on this? I mean, I have worked at every single brokerage that exists up until I am where I am now. So, but there's a I always feel like it's sensitive answering this question, but it's a good one. The point being that I tried everything out and I found one that really worked for me when I was moving from working as a buyer agent. I was with this one company who was bought out by another company, and the culture felt different. So I moved, and as a solo agent, I thought that's probably for the best because I wasn't being supported where I was, so as well as I could be somewhere else. And where I went, had some things in place that would help me support and grow my business. Like they had a client party running every year. You could flyer it like it was your own, There was just things in place that helped me get started and look like I was already here, you know? And then it got to a point where you could be the small fish in a big pond or the big fish in a small pond. And I really love to surround myself with people I can learn and grow from. I mean, I thrive on that. I love where I'm at now. And I mean, I love the team that I'm with, and every day I'm inspired by the people that I work with and paddle with.
I love
That's
that.
how
I'm
I
not sure if
decide.
they answered the question, but it's pretty good answer. And, branding's a really good question, Chuck. Nobody. I've worked with hundreds of agents, been around this industry for forever. I'm just copy and pasting something because Zoom isn't recording something for me. So branding is kind of nobody's ever successful because of the brokerage they work for. Like not ever. That's never a thing. But if you're with a brokerage where you don't feel supported and cared for and in alignment with your values, it can keep you from your full potential. And I really think that's actually important, if that makes sense. And so it's not like this brokerage is good and this brokerage is bad. You might go and work for the same brokerage Erin does, and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't have the energy, the support, the values, whatever that makes you feel like you're ready to go out and tackle real estate world every day. But the big thing is, does my company support me to feel like I can go out and do what's often hard and uncomfortable work? Let's be honest about what real estate really is, you guys. You're entrepreneurs. And sometimes it's really easy and fun. But a lot of the time it's not. A lot of the time you're getting up when you're tired, you're getting up when you're down, and you're going back at it. And so anything that you can remove to make the environment more comfortable and safer will help. And your brokerage, part of their role is to make that environment more comfortable and safe. Chuck, does that touch on it for you?
Yep, that's fine. Yeah, I just wondered based on where Erin was at, how much of a difference that actually made for her now versus say 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
I'm actually happy to share that I have pulled my clients in the past. I considered moving from, so I'm with Remax Hallmark. I did consider, when I left my last office to come here, I did consider moving somewhere else. And I actually asked my clients who I was working with, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. What do you think? And I mean, earlier in my career, it was easy to lean on the brand, and that was my experience, right? You know, and there's a professionalism that the consumer believes is there because they already recognize the name. You know, so that's always been, hey, you're with Remax, and you know, that has been important. I mean, I looked at the stats when I almost moved and I thought, I can't sell that. You know, I can't sell that, but I can sell this. And this made sense to me. You know, I was looking at the luxury branding for a certain client, and I thought, I don't want to show up with that. I like this.
Yeah, so that's the actual brand thing. And I, you know, there are sort of branding, and then you don't have to make it. I mean, no, you're never going to be able to create a brand for yourself that has anywhere near the power of Remax or Royal LePage or Century 21. And I know these are all old school brokerages. And so I'm not a marketing expert, so I don't really know the brand value of EXP or Exit, right? But that's something that you would want to do something because it's helpful. I mean, it was a big difference for Mike Majeski. He had his own little brokerage, and he was just banging his head against a brick wall. And I said, Mike, give it up, man. Let's just get a national brand, and take all that load off you. And that was a huge jump start for him.
Can I say something?
You bet. It's your time, girl.
This is where that right, it to be able to influence and persuade your client, right? Why are you the best? Right?
Mm,
Use those skills, lean into the skills that help you negotiate the deal, right? Or the listing, right? Maybe it's about
beautiful.
brand, maybe it's about you, or both.
Yeah, exactly. And the line I used to use, and I've probably given it to Erin 100 times, is I chose this brokerage because, and you may want to choose it for the same reasons. So in Erin's case, I chose Remax Hallmark for these reasons, and this might be also why you would like to choose Remax Hallmark. For me, it was Bosley. I choose to work with Bosley for these reasons. I believe those are the same reasons you should choose to work with Bosley. So you want to have enough belief that that comes off and is real and is authentic, and you feel it because they can tell the difference. Good. Anything else, Chuck? All right. Anybody else have a question? Something they want to come up? But does anybody not know how to put their hand up? I'll flip through the videos. If you put your hand up, if anyone doesn't know how to find the reactions tab. You guys are being all shy. Hey, there's Jeff and Jody. It was a great dinner party on the weekend. You guys, it was awesome. You got anything to ask Erin here?
You have anything?
No, do you?
Just been taking it all in.
Yeah.
That's what we do too. These guys also have a really great life balance, and they've managed to get a team to take some of it off their track. I mean, no one's asked Erin why she hasn't built a team. That's an interesting question I thought might come up. I'm not going to ask her. But other than that, anybody else? We're right on time here. So let's just take a minute and wrap up. It's an honor to be in real estate, you guys. We get to enter people's lives. We get to help them make incredibly magical decisions. We're very lucky for that. It is an honor to coach great realtors. I would not want to coach shitty realtors with no ethics, but it is an honor to do the work I've done with my clients. 8 years with Erin is a long time to be tangled up in her life, and I just can't tell you how impressed I am with the work that she's done. And Erin, so thank you for sharing. If you have any closing words for our gang today, that would be great.
To you know what, letting go of things, right? Where your business can go, what you're capable of, right? What happens if you free yourself of anything that, you know, pulls you back, right? I could never do 500. Yeah, I can. I could probably double that this year if I tried really hard, right? You know, but you have
I see a new goal hatching.
You have to be able to envision it for yourself, right? I saw one of my girlfriends with a Team Canada jersey on. I thought, I'd really like to do that.
Beautiful. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming. There will be a recording. I'm not going to edit it too much. I'll just take the front and back off, but we'll make this available to you. Please share widely. I am trying to create a movement where we gain the trust and respect of the consumer. Because it's time. That's what the consumer is asking us for. And so thanks so much for joining me and Erin today. And please keep spreading the word and keep doing amazing work. You guys rock. Thank you, everybody.